Good evening, friends. Stephen Benoon here with a good friend of ours, Hitch, as you can see there on your screen. Hitch is a man of many talents, but especially when it comes to knowing how to prep. He's a prepper, every aspect that you can possibly imagine. And I know Jana is going to be interviewing Hitch more in the future. It was actually something she would be doing tonight, but due to other circumstances, I got to be the first one to interview him. And so, Hitch, welcome to Israeli News Live to discuss some of these prepper tips that people really need. And I'd have to say, as John Moore has always said when I'm on his program, if you didn't start 10 years ago, you're 10 years late.
Yes, thank you, Stephen. I'm glad to be here with you tonight. I would echo what he said, but it's also never too late to start because we don't know when we're going to need it,
That's exactly right. And even though ourselves, we are, of course, in that same boat, we did not start 10 years ago. We only started just recently, and it's a momentous task to try to undergo. And, and of course, planting season is already ending for this year, but I guess there are things that you can plant for fall type things. And of course, if you have a greenhouse, a lot of things you could do there as well. So perhaps, Hitch, you could kind of give us some direction on things that people could be doing to start off with, especially in such a late time that we're in right now.
Sure, absolutely. I'd say that if you already have a location that is out of, the city, out of a place where a lot of the civil unrest is occurring or going to be occurring, definitely, be looking at what you can plant. And I suppose even for those that are in town, something is better than nothing. So again, if you've got a garden, don't discount that you could be doing some fall planting now, depending on your growing zone. Things like you can go to your local landscape center and more than likely be able to buy your cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages. That's not enough time left for Brussels sprouts at this point, then unless you're further south. You can be planting radishes, turnips, things of that nature that typically grow better in the cooler weather and will last through a light frost.
That's really good to know because broccoli happens to be one of my most favorite vegetables of all time. I can literally eat a head of that a day and would not get sick of it. So that's a very good idea. What are some of the other things, knowing that we're going into the fall months and people that might have a greenhouse, is this something to where, like in the picture that we have here on the screen of you're enjoying a nice fresh ripe tomato off of the vine there. Is that something you can grow year round if you have a greenhouse?
I'd say that if you have a greenhouse and you've been using your greenhouse to grow things for several years, that's definitely something you can do. That's not if we were to look at this as college courses, that's not a 101 class. That's probably more of a 301 class because greenhouses get into a lot more difficulty and understanding of how your greenhouse works and how your environment around your greenhouse works. But definitely, having a greenhouse is a great plan, a great goal. And if you're looking at putting together a homestead, that's something that should be on your list. Maybe would you want to take it into the discussion of the people that haven't got started prepping, where they might want to start?
I think that would be the best idea, Hitch, because we can always make different segments on this. I know Jana had planned to do this with you, like 15 to 20 minute segments to begin with. So let's do that. Let's just go right into what people need to do that are in a situation right now to where they haven't done any preparations on prepping or anything. What are the things they should be doing right now then?
So let's assume that, somebody, as you've covered in some of your various videos, that lives in one of these cities or lives along a coastal region or someplace that, is really at high risk for some of these potential calamities that could become our way. Picking a location away from there, safely away from there, believe you discussed that, you were moving to a location far away from Florida. That's first and foremost, where you pick your location, where you want to be, needs to fit your plan. Once you have a state in mind or a region of the state in mind, it comes into play of looking at a location as far as survivability. Is there water, fresh, clean water year round where I'm going, or will I have access to drill for water at a well or something? What's the soil like? What growing zone is it in today? What are my natural boundaries from where I'm at versus major cities? When the Golden Horde comes pouring out of some city, you don't want to just be 3 miles out of town because you're going to get picked off. I think at this late hour for a lot of people, it would be really important to look at building communities. If there's somebody else that you've known for a long, you trust, I would really consider moving nearby that person. If they live out in the middle of a safer location from where I currently live, so that you can build that community, around them. Because one of the things we always say in prepping, you only own it if you can defend it. And sadly, it's going to come to that at some point.
I think you're right, Hitch, because what I've been watching, even as I was preparing for the news tonight, I think it's, I forget which, Wisconsin, I believe it is. They were out there and they started throwing bricks at the police and knocked one completely out in the process of it. So this whole issue of the tensions that are going on across the nations and different states, it is about to get really ugly really quick. And the idea of going to a safe place is paramount at this point here, let alone even if we didn't take into consideration, all the different elements of what could happen from the cosmic realm, just the threat that we're facing in this nation of civil war, racial divisions, things of that nature, there behooves people to find a safe location to be in.
Absolutely. And there's some books come to mind to help people, get this going. I mean, I have my own views on the world and what I think is going to happen. I have my own views that I've developed over the last 20 or so years on prepping and homestead prepping as it is, actually living my preps. But not everything I do is going to work for everybody. You got to find what's going to fit for you, fit your circumstances, and fit your location as well. But, thinking of some books that might help people to think about the ideas of what could happen. James Wesley Rawls' Patriots, Surviving the Coming Collapse is, first and foremost one of the books I'd recommend. Rawls is one of the fathers of the modern prepping revolution, is very, very well known. Another book is 1 Second After. And give me just a second. Let's see. William Fortune is the author there. That was a bestseller for quite some time. And both of those books approach two different types of scenarios that can happen, in a fiction manner of, what occurs afterwards. Both of them are really a great read. I highly recommend them for someone that has not entered into the prepping world. Beyond those fiction books, we can go over it in subsequent discussions, but there's a number of books that I feel like are, have two books that you'd want to have to help you guide you along your path of homestead prepping.
And, books seem to be invaluable, especially in the way society is going right now, because I have a feeling before long we're not going to have access to the internet that so many people have enjoyed, just to be able to click on a YouTube video and watch how to do something. And of course, the other thing could be is that people could download maybe to a hard drive some of these videos, tip videos, things like that. But books definitely are an invaluable resource in this particular time.
Buy books. I have two libraries in my house. I have, big oak shelves full of books, because not only are you going to need books to, remember how to do things and know how to do things, because that's going to be your new YouTube. I'm going to go back to that book and, look how to do this. You're going to want to have books, classics and other fiction books just for entertainment, because if we move into a time where we need this and there's no power, or there's very limited power, or there's no radio communication, TV, etc., having a book is a great thing.
It is.
So I'm looking online here, and I can see, there's so many books, like the 1 Second After. I can see that as inexpensive as $3 to $5 used from used bookstores online. So again, it's kind of an untapped resource still right now of going and buying these books, because I don't think a lot of Americans checked into that whole idea yet.
Absolutely, and the thing is as you said, it's not only is it an important resource, but the fact is that from the things that I've been told, Hitch, is that from people in Washington, that we need to prepare as if we were living in the 1800s. 1800s didn't have television. Maybe late 1800s you might have got radio. I forget exactly when that came in, but things are definitely going to change a lot. And
case in point, I have alternative power, and I have generator backup. I have an EMP shield that defends my various equipment that's electronic. So even in an all-out collapse, I'm more than likely going to have some power. But again, certain things I can set on my laptop, that power is so precious. Like, just being able to sit and read a book by firelight or candlelight, or read a book during the day I think it'll be far more valuable.
You mentioned EMP shield, so let me ask you something about that. And it's kind of maybe a little bit off topic question, but I know that our good friend Lou and Deborah Taveras out in California, Deborah's been talking about publicly over the last few years about the attacks burning houses down through their smart meters in their homes. Do you think, is it possible? I don't know what your knowledge would be on the EMP shield, other than the fact that you say you actually use one. Do you think that using an EMP shield on the home might prevent something like that? Or is that something we should ask the folks there at the EMP shield place about?
Well, I'd ask them to, I'd be interested to find out what their standing on it is. But in my rudimentary understanding of it, again, depending on how a smart meter might be used to attack your home, as I understand it, if it was just sending over voltage, your EMP shield grounds that voltage, almost instantaneously. It's like half a nanosecond or something like that it shunts the over voltage to ground. And so I wouldn't see why that wouldn't afford that type of protection from a smart meter attack. I'm not saying that there's not some other way that I don't know about. I mean, no one's come out and said here, we use it to attack anyway, but assuming that was used, whether it would be by a power company or something to consider someone hacking these systems. I mean, let's just assume that the power company is not bad guys and some enemy of the United States uses our electrical grid against us and does send a spike of power down the line to your home. I trust the EMP shield to protect me from lightning, and that's far more power, electricity from a lightning bolt than what I think the power lines could even handle. So, yeah, I think it would protect you.
Hitch, I got a question for you, because with me and our family doing our preparations, I've got some smaller solar panels, and I know you mentioned that you're using the EMP shield on different devices there because you have backup power. I know you mentioned generator as well, which I do have a generator, not a big one, but a small one. Is the EMP shield, is that something that you are, because I did talk to the guys down there at the EMP shield, and of course they were advising me I needed to get my solar panels that I was going to use before getting the right EMP shield. But is that something that you're using on that type of device as well, or are you just using it on your house and on your vehicle?
So I have it on my house and my vehicle, and then, to protect the solar, there's one on the other side of the power inverter, because there's DC coming from the solar. As far as like a gas generator or a propane generator,
Okay. I appreciate that. Well, listen. Any more tips that you might have? I know Jana wanted to do these short segments here, and but so that way there we don't overwhelm the people, and they can really glean from this information. Of course, she's much better at doing interviews than I am because she's smart and thinks of all the right questions to ask. But let's say though. Go ahead.
Well, as I say, I think maybe presenting my street cred would be the important here because we discussed doing this as a routine segment. I come from I live in the Midwest, an undisclosed location in the Midwest. I've grown up in a farming family, farming and ranching, and for almost 50 years I've been immersed in this. When I grew up, we didn't call it prepping. It was just what you did. Grandma taught me the medicines that grew out in the field and how to make medicines out of them, what they were used for. And we as a family got together and did canning and preserving is, just a thing that we always did every year. It was just, again, we didn't call it prepping. It's just what you did. We grew it, we ate. We butchered animals together and preserved the meat and froze meat and so forth. And I don't think it was until really the 90s that I started to see other aspects of that where, I recognized the importance of some of the other hardware and tools that we don't say on YouTube channels, the things that, make a pop sound, and collecting those types of things and training with that type of stuff. And then sometime after 2011, it became abundantly clear to me when I was living in another state that I had to get away from that state and, get back here in the Midwest where I knew that the food was here. And I had at that time a firm belief that, the Midwest was a safer place with relationship to some of the calamities that might befall our country. And so therein, as I've done this as a advisory type of business, going to people's locations and advising them about where they might want to put things or telling them if it's a good piece of property or not. I've been doing that for the last 10 years. And so, that's kind of how we arrived here. I'm looking at putting together an online presence. I haven't in the past, just simply because sometimes I feel like the guy that's got a really great YouTube channel may not be that great at the thing that he's actually advertising on the channel. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
If he's got all the equipment and knowledge how to do the cameras and cut the videos great, that's what kept me out of it, honestly. I've been pretty busy. But, I think maybe I'll put together something so we can reference online, hey, here's that thing you talked about, and, maybe help your listeners out.
I think that would be a great idea, Hitch, because, the information, of course, I've known you for quite a while anyway, and, I've always appreciated the insights that you've shared with me privately and learning from that. And so we felt like it'd be something that would really bless the people here because Jana was started doing the videos about different things that she's learning just from online, the Mylar bags, how to save money to do a lot of this stuff that, because of the things that are coming up. And so given that background too of your own experience in lifehood there will also, I'm sure, bless the people. And listen, guys, I know that, we did, the EMP show got brought up in the broadcast here. I wasn't necessarily thinking we were going to go down that road there, but just in case you are interested in that, empshield.com, don't forget that's the website. And you do get a discount if you put in the coupon code INL for Israeli News Live 50, and it'll no doubt it's worth it. Period. It's definitely worth it. So I just want to throw that out there for you guys that might be considering to do something like that. And let me ask you just in closing, real quick though, Hitch, did you install your own EMP shields? Because I know when I got mine, I did mine, and it's actually extremely easy.
Yeah, it's pretty simple to install. And the thing is, if you got any questions, you call the folks at the EMP Shield, and they'll walk you through it. I mean, they've got videos on their website, and they've got installation instructions to come with the package. But again, if you got any questions at all,
That's nice. Very nice. So I appreciate it again, Hitch, coming on with us there. Next week, Jana will be here. We'll try to do this weekly, maybe if that works out for you. And I know it'll be a blessing for the people as well. So thank you so much for joining in with us tonight here. I should say, rise up, children of God. I don't think this is, we may put it on Israeli News Live as well. So I think it'll really be a blessing for both people, but I know on Jana's channel will be the main place it goes, and then we'll probably always post it, follow it up on Israeli News Live, because people need the benefit of the information. So
you bet. Well, on Israeli News Live is where I found out about you originally. So yeah, there's a good group of folks over there.
There he is. Thank you so much, Hitch, for joining us tonight. Thank you guys for listening. And we'll be trying to bring you more practical information on what you can do to prep, get ready, especially in such a late hour that we're doing this. You'll have a